Hey, Brandon here, man. Welcome to the channel and thanks for tuning in. It is summer scouting time on this channel, and today we are going to start our first of four-part series of scouting for the 2024 NFL Draft. All right, so today we are going to talk about the quarterback class, then we'll talk running backs, wide receivers, and tight ends. If you play Dynasty, man, or you play Devy, hit that subscribe button, man. This channel is dedicated to help you scout and identify future Dynasty assets for our Dynasty roster teams, all right? So, and the other good thing about this series is it's going to shed some light on the value of 2024 rookie picks. Something that we all talk about in Dynasty. Do we trade for 2024 picks? Do we sell? What's the class look like? So this is going to be the first part of four series where we're going to go deep into the quarterback class. And then we're going to go through all four positions. So again, hit that subscribe button. Thank you for tuning in. Let's just talk about the quarterback class. That is what this show is dedicated for. Overall, what do I think about the 2024 quarterback class? I think there's one guy at the top. Some will argue two. Me, I think we have one clear-cut winner. That's going to be Caleb Williams. I'm going to go through my top five in a little bit of detail, and then maybe give you 5, 6, 7, 8 other names that are going to be on the radar as we go into the 2023 college football season. A lot of football to be played yet, but it's nice to get an early glimpse of identifying who those assets are, and then we can identify what we want to watch for each one of these prospects to see if they become dynasty relevant, right? All that we're going to talk about on this particular show is all about relevancy of hitting our dynasty rosters. That's really what the goal is. Not if they make the NFL as a good backup and all that. That's nice, but that's not going to help us on our dynasty rosters. All right, so let's get right to it, man. Like I said, I think Caleb Williams is the gold standard of this upcoming draft in 2024. He's got the size, 6'1", 215 pounds. He's going to be going into his junior season. So we're going to go through, like I said, the top five in a little bit more detail. We're going to go through their 2022 pass and rush statistics, PFF passing grades, which I think is brings some interesting light in how they stack up to other players in the class. I'm going to give you my quick scouting report notes, and then their draft and dynasty projections on kind of what we see as we head into next spring. All right, so listen, Caleb Williams is really just he's the wow factor, right? I mean, he is going to be most likely the first quarterback, the first player probably taken in the NFL draft. There's already teams out there talking about tanking for Caleb, but in any case, I think he's the clear-cut number one guy. I mean, the tires are going to have to fall off the bus for something to happen where he isn't, I think, the number one guy taken in the draft next year. But hey, we've seen stranger things happen. So what do we like about Caleb Williams? Well, listen, like here's the statistics up here. Threw for over 4,500 yards, 42 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, 8.4 TD ratio, which is nice. 66% completion. That's something that I'm going to hope that we see a little better of. We're going to talk about PFF stats here in a second. But he's got the rushing ability, man. He's got 10 touchdowns on the ground last year in 2022. And he is just a guy who can just, really maneuver off script and make plays happen. Some PFF passing grades that I want to kind of go through for each of the top 5 prospects. His passing, grades. These are his grades overall for the players who are eligible for the 2024 class. So he's 89.9. He was third in that thing. Pass up on these cards that you're seeing. That's under pressure. That's passing. What was his grade passing under pressure? Caleb Williams was 78.9. That was first in all of college football for all quarterbacks who were draft eligible for this upcoming season. So that's what we see on film when we see Caleb Williams. We see a magician, as you're going to see here in my scouting report shortly. His running ability grade was 82.8. That was 6th in the class. Adjusted percentage, that is completion percentage is 76. That's 17th overall. So what that adjusted completion percentage is it takes away drops. It takes away wide receivers who just don't make the plays. So it's a little bit, kind of hones in a little bit on the more accuracy of the passes, given the drops and stuff sometimes don't add to those completion percentages, right? So, and then turnover worthy plays, the TWP percentage, that's turnover worthy plays, is 1.8. He was very high in that grade. You want that percentage obviously to be closer to 0 than 100. 600. And his big time throw percentage was 6.0. That's 21st of eligible draft quarterbacks. His scouting report for me, he's got a strong arm. I think he can make all the throws. He's an off-script magician, and he has wow plays all over the film. I mean, you watch Caleb Williams, and he's making these plays. A lot of people compare him to Mahomes. Whether that's fair or not fair, I'm not sure. But nonetheless, he's a player who can really can make plays off script, that has all the tools in the toolbox. What am I looking for this year to solidify that number one ranking in my quarterback ranks right now? His accuracy, and needs to improve on that a little bit. He does throw a lot of passes off script, which doesn't lead to a lot of high accurate passes. So that's, what I'm looking for is for him to maybe stay in the pocket. He leaves the pocket a little early sometimes. I'd like to see him stay in there a little bit, read the field, and deliver the football. But listen, man, he's going to be the first or second pick in the NFL draft. The player that we're going to talk about next might have that option to be the first quarterback taken in the draft. We'll have to see. But a super flex rookie pick next year, he's going to be the 101 or the 102 without a doubt. You play in super flex, that's what's going to happen. And from a dynasty standpoint, I think he is a day one starter. So there's really not a whole lot not to like about Williams. I mean, like I said, the wheels would have to fall off the bus for him not to be the first quarterback taken. All right, so I think, like I said, he's the guy at the top, but the guy that, if he has a great year, who could supplant him, the only quarterback that could supplant Williams next year would have to be Drake May, quarterback, North Carolina. He's my number 2 ranked quarterback right now. 6'4", 220 pounds. He's also going into his junior season. Tailed off a little bit last year towards the end of the season, but he had a very productive season. 4,200 yards passing, 37 touchdowns, 7 interceptions, TD ratio 5.3, 66% completion percentage as well. We're going to want to see him kind of improve on that a little bit. But look at the rushing yards, man. 698 rushing yards and 7 TDs. Now, I think he's more of a dual threat quarterback, but most people have him as a pocket passer. But this dude is athletic, man. He is really an athletic football player. I consider him more of a dual threat than a pocket passer. His PFF passing grades, what I want to really point out, you can see these. I'm not going to go through each one of these for each card here. I don't want to take up a lot of time. This passing 90.1 first. He had the best passing grade in PFF as far as quarterbacks headed to the draft next year. So certainly impressive. So his scouting report, man, he's got the size, right? 6'4", 220 pounds. He's athletic. He's physical. I think he's a dual threat. I love the way this kid runs with the football. He's tough. He's physical. He's mechanically efficient when I watch his game. I'm no quarterback guru. I'll be the first to admit that as far as looking at technique and mechanics and all that. But I feel like he's got good touch, throughout, the intermediate, short, vertical parts of the field. What I want to see, he takes too many hits, man. Like what I want to see him to get better at next year, too many hits, and he had 7 fumbles, man. He's got to have better ball control, and not cough up the football. He does take too many hits. He's one that maybe stays in the pocket maybe a little too much. Not as accurate when he's under pressure, when he's not under pressure, but that's typical for most quarterbacks. But his dynasty and projection and our rookie drafts next year, I mean, he's going to be the first or second pick off the board. Now, if Drake May comes out and doesn't have a great year, I could see him sliding possibly to the middle to the end of the first round. But I think he's a first round, lock, unless something just drastically happens to him where he just looks awful this year. And I feel like from a super flex rookie pick 1 or pick 2, again, if he comes out this year and does well like everyone's expecting him to be, he should be, again, in a super flex rookie draft, he should be one of the first 2 players taken off the board. And I think he's immediate day one starter. I think a team is going to draft him to groom him to be that starter. So my first and second quarterbacks, I feel pretty good, like most people, that is going to be, the 2 quarterbacks in the first round. I think everything else, all these other players have all question marks. I mean, more question marks than positive marks when it comes to projecting what their draft capital is going to be and how they're going to be. Now, we have a full, another season of football to watch. We're getting a very early look at these players. My number 3 football player right now, quarterback headed to the draft, has got to be Bo Nix out of Oregon, right? 6'2", 213 pounds. He's got the size. He's a dual threat for me as well. He's going into his senior year, played first 3 years at Auburn, And I give this guy a lot of, I admire this guy for what he went through. I mean, he was, I think, the SEC Freshman Player of the Year as a rookie at Auburn. They got him right out of high school, threw him right in there. His father went to Auburn. He had all that pressure. It just didn't work out to Auburn. Transfers to Oregon last year and really, really blossomed. Over 3,500 yards, 29 TDs, 7 interceptions. TD ratio 4.1, 72% completion percentage, which is probably surprising to a lot of people because Bo Nix was known for being very erratic at Auburn, but he really had a really nice season last year at Oregon. 510 yards and 14 TDs on the ground. And from a dynasty perspective, again, right? I mean, Drake May, Caleb Williams, all these guys have the ability so far to, really run with the football. Bo Nix is no exception, all right? His passing stats here from PFF, as you can see, pretty high up there in most categories. I really like his adjusted completion percentage of 82.3%. That was third for quarterbacks going to, draft eligible. So, I mean, a lot to like in Bo Nix's game. From a scouting report, I think he's experienced. I think he's durable. I think he's a good dual threat. I think he has good elite arm talent. I think he can make all the throws all over the field. And he's got off-script ability. He's got the ability to scramble. And that was probably one of the knocks on him at Auburn is the fact that he just kind of escaped the pocket a little too early, kind of not playing within structure. So his vertical accuracy is one of the things I'll be looking for going into the 2023 season. His pocket awareness too. Sometimes he just goes in there and I don't feel like he sees the pocket very well. But overall, I think Bo Nix is arguably the third best option as far as the quarterback class next year. I really do. And he's my number 3 quarterback. My number 4 quarterback going into the season is going to be a surprise to most people. And I'm going to go with Riley Leonard. I've been watching a lot of Riley Leonard film over the last few weeks. Quarterback from Duke, 6'4", 212 pounds. He's going to be a true junior next year. But I tell you, I like what I see. Now, it's a lot more development to go, okay, for Riley Leonard to be even considered here. So this is kind of a spicy call right here going in at number 4. But I like what I've seen. You can see his stats, 2,900 yards, 20 TDs, 6 interceptions, completion percentage of 63%. We're going to want to see that a little better. But listen, his rushing ability, 124 carries, 699 yards, and 13 TDs. Actually, he led Duke in rushing of all the running backs as well. If you watch this kid, he's got some things to work on. I get it. But, man, the dual threat ability at 6'4", 212 pounds, if it all comes out his junior season and puts up some really good numbers and there's an improvement in his mechanics and stuff like that, I think this could be the dark horse guy going into the draft next year. I really, really do. His PFF passing grades here, you can see on the screen, aren't all that great. But, again, he didn't really play as a freshman much at all. So last year was his only year. So this is a bit of a spicy take. But Riley Leonard, from seeing the foundation of what I see on film, I think he has the ability, if he has a good year, he's going to be talked about a lot come the 2024 NFL draft cycle. He's got the physical tools from his scouting profile. He's athletic. He's a dual threat. I think he can make all the throws, and he's got the intangibles too. If you read anything about him, the players love him. The coaches love him. He's smart. He's the first one in, last one out. And again, he's somebody that people are rallying around, and nobody has anything but great things to say about him. His weaknesses are his lack of experience. So this is a projection call on my part here, but given the other options in this class, I'm going to go with Riley Leonard, number 4. All right. Coming in at number 5 is Michael Penix Jr. All right. 6'3", 214 pounds, going into his 5th year as a senior. He's a little bit of an older prospect. I don't see him as a starter necessarily in the NFL. I think he is a backup with possible upside, with the ability to maybe lead an NFL team. But here's where we are. I mean, I think this is where we are, and we're going to get into my 6 through 10 here very shortly. But listen, man, Michael Penix had a great year. 4,600 yards, 31 TDs, 8 interceptions, 65% completion percentage. But my concern and why I don't have him higher now, Penix Jr. is number 3 in a lot of lists out there. I just can't get from a dynasty perspective, we want a guy that has the legs and the mobility. I mean, look at these rushing attempts, 35 attempts for 92 yards and 4 touchdowns. This guy is not a mobile threat. He's more of a pocket passer. And again, from a dynasty standpoint, I can't put him any higher than number 5. for that reason alone, and something else that we're going to talk about here in a minute. But go ahead and look at, you can see the PFF passing grades on the screen, guys. You can kind of see where he is on all of those things. The scouting report, he's confident. He's got a great leadership ability. He's tough. I mean, the guy took some wicked hits last year and always got up. I think his processing and the way he sees the field, his vision is good, and he's got a really, really decent arm. His injury history is a real concern, though. Outside of his ability, not really maneuvering and running with the ball, and he's not really that dual threat. The injury, he's got 2 ACL injuries. He had, 2 shoulder surgeries, I believe, in the last 2 or 3 years as well. So he's an older prospect, and he's been banged up with injuries. I'm not sure what an NFL franchise is, how they're going to look at him as a, early draft capital selection. So that's why I have him at number 5. But given all the other options, that's where I am with Michael Penix coming in at number 5. All right, so I'm going to just list the rest of the guys that I've got my eye on for the 2023 college football season. And these are the guys that may bump up in the number 5 spot. They may stay outside the top 5, but here they are. So what you're looking at right now, guys, is my Devy to Dynasty dashboard, my 2024 QB ranks, okay? So this is a product that I sell. If you're interested, hit me up with an email. There'll be information at the end of the show where you can send me an email. I don't have a website, but these are, you can see the top 5 guys we've already talked about. And the positioning ranks that you see in the left column are basically my overall ranks with all different classes. So what I do is I project 2024, I got 2025 and 2026 quarterbacks as well in my overall ranks. But for 2024 quarterback ranks, Carson Beck, I am really high on. Now, Carson Beck you may not have heard of, and this again could be another spicy call for the people who scout quarterbacks and watch a lot of college football. But Carson Beck is going to be a starter in Georgia. He's going to be a junior this year, and he hasn't really played much at all. He played for mop-up duty last year, man. But I like what I saw in the spring game. 6'5", 6'4", 225 pounds. Showed some mobility. Big season coming up in Georgia. Keep your eye on Carson Beck. I'm a big fan. This YouTube channel is a big fan of Carson Beck. He is another sleeper of mine. KJ Jefferson from Arkansas, 6'3", 245 pounds. Little bit of a mobile guy. Again, I think the NFL is going to like his size and his durability. But plays in the SEC. Again, if he comes out and has a good season and really improves, I think he has a shot to make some noise. Probably the surprise on this list for most people are Quinn Ewers at Texas, 6'3", 210 pounds. I'm just not as high on Ewers as I am on maybe Beck and Jefferson a little bit. Again, these are in no particular order. They kind of are, but more of like tiers and stuff like that. But I just want to briefly talk about it. Quinn Ewers just has a very weird release to me, and he's just not really accurate with the football, especially on vertical. So I'm going to need to see him have a big season at Texas. Now, Quinn Ewers is mostly in everyone's top 5, and I understand it. I get it. But for me, I just have to see a big improvement. He actually might come back to Texas for his senior year. I know the Manning kid is there, but we'll have to see. J.J. McCarthy from Michigan, 6'3", 196 pounds. Again, a prospect in this upcoming class that, has a really good year with Jim Harbaugh there, could possibly elevate his draft stock. I'm going to need to see a little bit more arm strength and vertical ability as well with his passing. But, guy that can move around and make plays off script as well. So Kyle McCord starting as a junior as well. He's in the same situation as Carson Beck at Georgia, playing for Ohio State. But he's going to be playing with 3 of the best receivers in college football. So, should have a solid running game. Ohio State, no need to say a lot more. But I could see Kyle McCord coming back for his senior year like C.J. Stroud did as well. So he's probably more of a 2025 prospect. Shedeur Sanders, Deion Sanders' son at Colorado, 6'2", 215 pounds. He's on the radar. Jordan Travis is probably in a lot of lists in the top 5, 6'1", 201 pounds. He's a little light for me. I don't like smaller quarterbacks. I wasn't a Bryce Young fan necessarily. We'll have to see how that pans out. Great college quarterback. I just don't see Jordan Travis leading an NFL franchise. I really don't. He's going into his 6th year in college as well. Joe Milton, 6'5", 245 pounds. It's very trendy right now to pick out players who have big arms that really haven't had a lot of success, and Joe Milton fits that role. I know he's interested in baseball too, so Joe Milton's been passed over by 3 or 4 other quarterbacks over the years and he's not been able, after 4 or 5 years in college, to secure a job at college. Why would he ever secure a job at the NFL level? I can't imagine. He is not Anthony Richardson at all. So a lot of people compare him that for the big guy who has not a lot of experience. But Jalen Milroe from Alabama, maybe. I'm not sure. We'll have to see. He's going to have to really improve as a passer. And the last guy was one of Spencer Rattler, a guy that I really kind of liked. He should probably be higher on this list in reality. 6'1", 198, a little undersized as well, but a 5-star prospect. Big hype coming out of high school. So there you have it, guys. Those are kind of where I am. Again, I think it's Caleb Williams and Drake May, and I think after that there is a ton of question marks. But we might have a dark horse or two rise as we get through college football. So there you go, guys. I hope you enjoyed the show. I'm going to do a running back show like this that'll probably go a little bit more deeper into the skill sets of the top 10 and wide receivers as well. And tight ends will probably stick with 5 or 6. So hit that subscribe button if you want to see those things, that notification bell. And again, if you're interested in getting some access to my Devy to Dynasty product, there'll be a thing here on the screen here shortly with my email. Hit me up an email. I'll give it to you for a few weeks and you can check it out. But it's a great way, if you play Dynasty, to get a future glimpse of the future for rookie picks. So, all right, guys, thanks for watching.